If Ashley's Ashley's talking. His microphone's out again, I think. We haven't been live this whole time, have we?
Probably. I don't. I don't. That's the thing. I don't know how this.
Nothing. You were there for a second.
Yeah, we're definitely live.
Yeah, in fact, this new computer is going in quicker than I thought. Wow, I've got like a week and a half. But isn't if it's the microphone that's playing up? I mean, I'm not doing that now, but that will be a new microphone and a new computer. Anyway, hello, I'm Ashley. Welcome to Pop the Question for November 28th. Joining me as ever is AJ.
Yeah.
And Owen.
Hello, Internet.
Did Owen remember to do the thing that we talked about 24 hours ago?
I'm in pain. Leave me alone.
All right. You can't. I remember.
I'm
we
sorry.
Can't do
apparently, I realized the hard way the other day that I can make really cool things happen on the iPhone. Like, I can do this.
Oh, wait. I only recognize one of them.
Works, though.
There
we go. Or I can do this, because we're gonna talk about things I don't like. Boo. Boohiss.com. But in true Owen fashion, it feels it's more appropriate if it's this.
There it is.
Yeah.
I'm trying to work
that
out
is 2023 in a nutshell.
I'm trying to work out if that's another one now.
Honestly, it would not surprise me a bit. I do it all the time, so I like, no, probably not. If you know, you know. So yeah. Last night, I realized that the weather sucks, and I've been like in serious pain all day. I mean, I had to work today, and I literally I would sleep, I would lay in the bathtub, I would sleep, I would run water over my hand and everything like that because this fluctuation in temperature is totally messing with me. So I'm sitting here in a very stoic state right now because I don't want to do anything because I don't feel good. But I'm here, so. I mean, in a world where obviously I rarely feel like this, it feels more appropriate that I'm like this. Exactly. And I'll find out if there's any more eventually.
Right, so chat isn't too bad at the minute. I love the fact that I now have to keep going to OBS because I have to check whether the mic bar is flashing green or sometimes peaking yellow if I get really close.
So, if you are new to Pop the Question, it's basically the bi-weekly Q&A show where you, the viewers, ask us questions about what's going on film or just questions in general. There's been a lot of really interesting things that we've been asked throughout time, and we have a very vocal chat room, and they're here tonight. So let's have at it.
Tim is saying that I'm driving to Orlando now.
Oh, cool. Safe travels, Tim. See you in a little bit. And by a little bit, I mean multiple hours from now.
So, we'll start off with Bry. He says, the 2000 movies I've watched was interesting in order of what was free on Xfinity. The first was ironically The Departed. Then it was Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl. And in addition, I did watch all the sequels. And Unfaithful, although there's nowhere to find the original 1969 French film.
So, I have to tell the story. I don't know if I've told this on this. I haven't told. I'm sure I've told this story before. And AJ knows where I'm going with this.
Yeah,
so,
If it has to do with a horse, I'm pretty sure we've told the story a couple of times, but
Yeah, it's always fun to tell. Whenever Unfaithful comes up, I always bring it up. And given the fact that I pretty sure a child get their life changed by watching Joaquin get at it the other night in Napoleon, I'm always going to stick with this. So, yeah, obviously, when you are a film booker, you don't pay attention. And realizing that putting an R-rated movie and a G-rated movie or a PG-rated movie are not a good idea. So my theater decided it would be great to put Spirit with Unfaithful, and someone played the wrong movie.
was later repeated with Jackass 3 and Alpha and Omega.
That is absolutely correct. So yeah, whenever I hear Unfaithful, I always think of Spirit.
I still think my favorite though is pairing Passion of the Christ with Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, that was a good one. I remember getting whipped with keys in the lobby.
A customer?
Nope. I don't. It's been so long. I don't remember if it was Chris or if it was Will. But it was one of them that would whip me with keys when Passion was out in theaters because it was called Passion of the Chris because the ticket didn't have the T on the end of it.
That's right.
Funny things I can remember when I'm paying attention.
That is still one of the best BBFC classification warnings that I saw for blooming Da Vinci Code. Contains self-flagellation.
Well then,
What? Well, it's kind of funny that that was the warning because I feel like that's like the only thing people remember from the Da Vinci Code anyway.
it's a fun video game.
So Bry asks us our thoughts on the Criterion releases for February, as they did disclose them.
A couple of them I don't know what they are. I'm aware of the Roaring Twenties, which is interesting because that I have like the old Warner Brothers DVD of it, and it's a movie that just kind of came and went to me. Like I didn't really register it, I guess. So it's yours. The only way it kind of came back to me was reading Tarantino's book and learning like the history of Don Siegel and how he basically did the montages for it. So that's interesting. And the other Ramir box looks really nice as well. I don't know if it's as good as the one that I have that's the Six Moral Tales, because this has like one of my favorite things in it, which is where before Ramir made these movies, he wrote them as like stories before he like turned them into scripts, and this box comes with a book that has all 6 of them in it. And it's like this is like a almost 300-page book of those 6 stories, and that's like I think they did the same thing for I think it's out of print now, but the old Criterion for Picnic at Hanging Rock had the book in it. I wish they did that more often. I would definitely want to encourage that from them, if at all possible. Yeah, I don't know what those. I don't know what the Michelle Yeoh thing is, or the whatever the other one was.
It was Michael Romer's debut, I think, or debut feature. Nothing But a Man from 1964, who is, I think, still around. Yeah, born New Year's Day 1928, so he's coming up to his 96th birthday in about 5 weeks, which is pretty cool. And then the other one, I guess so it's the Heroic Trio and its sequel, The Executioners, which is, they both came out in 93, so I guess this would have been one of Yeoh's earliest things. I think she did some very late 80s, but yeah, her, Maggie Chung, and Anita Mui sort of together. In terms of, I guess, female Eastern cinema. It's sort of like, I guess, Expendables esque in like getting like the iconic names together. And then I'm guessing McCabe and Mrs. Miller is probably a 4K re-release.
Yeah.
Owen, since you've seen Wish, if Bry is correct, what were your thoughts on Once Upon a Studio?
I heard that it was going to be on Wish and attached to it. And I heard it was when they were doing the sneak previews. And I had access to the 4 o'clock Wish showing the day of Full Gear, but I was in Next Goal Wins instead because it didn't work out with my time frame. So unfortunately, I have yet to see Once Upon a Studio. So what I'm hoping for, and it seems like it's probably a good bet, that I'll probably get to see it theatrically when it runs for the Oscar. I've heard.
Go ahead.
I really want.
You really, really want?
Said I really want to see it.
Right. Josie says, "Hey, Popcast team, I've got a cold, but I'll feel better. Oh, and I assume the parks are all decked out for the holidays."
Oh God, yes! Like shortly after Halloween ended, everything got decorated for the holidays. But it's weird. The holiday season this year is like not that long at all. I mean, it's not even. It's finishing in December. It's not even going into January.
Oh, they're not even like making it hang around to New Year?
No, not really.
Oh. Kind of odd.
And it's going to be until December 30th. So I mean,
Spencer mentioning loving the fireworks that we finally discovered, thanks to Apple devices.
I'll have to look in to see if there's any more. Obviously, the thing I make the thing I make with my hands all the time is makes sense to be one too, but I don't think it's one yet. So my wrist is not really that able right now. So
with Christmas coming, I always love watching Silent Night, Deadly Night, the original Black Christmas, and Krampus. Any holiday horror faves for us? Oh.
Well, two of those. I don't really care about Silent Night, Deadly Night. But the original Black Christmas for sure, and I don't watch Krampus like every year, but I would say at least every other year I do. I don't really watch it as a holiday movie, but I do like that apparently, I want to say it's Zemeckis, where one of the reasons we got the Tales from the Crypt series is because Zemeckis would watch the Tales from the Crypt movie every Christmas because of the opening segment being set at Christmas, and he considers it a holiday movie. So I guess that, if we're going by Zemeckis rules, there was one more that came to mind, and I got to remember what it was.
well, obviously the correct answer is the Polar Express because what Tom like in that movie is absolutely terrifying.
People fucking hate on that movie. If it wasn't for their fucking faces, I don't think that movie would get the hate that it does.
To be fair, I've always loved Polar Express, and it's the only thing that makes Wild Arctic tolerable at SeaWorld. But they don't do that anymore.
I think I remember what the other one I was going to say was. If I'm remembering correctly, don't quote me on this. There's a movie called Dead End that has Ray Wise and Lin Shaye. I think it's not like Christmas-y. It's just like set on Christmas or Christmas Eve or something, and it's very wild and disturbing. But I'm pretty sure it's set at like Christmas or Christmas Eve or something.
I would say for something new this year, I would have to go with David Harbour's Violent Night.
Yeah, I'd say that's more of an action movie, but yeah, if you look at it from a home invasion angle, it's kind of horror, I guess you could call it. It's thrillery, which is close enough to horror.
I think think I'm at the point now that I've decided thriller is probably my favorite genre in film.
I think another thing that probably gives Violent Night a horror feel is the gore.
Hmm. Oh yeah.
Regular thrillers aren't typically that gore.
The one that I haven't seen in a while, but it really left an impact on me was Rare Exports: A Christmas Tale, the Finnish film, which sort of is a horror comedy style sort of thing. You know, there's a secret deep within Lapland sort of thing. Um, I guess Santa is. Santa might be Krampus and whatever.
Makes sense.
Plus, it's only about 80 minutes. It's a relatively short thing. It doesn't drag on. But I do like the fact I search Christmas horror films, and there's a special section just for Christmas horror films about Santa Claus. For some reason, the Christmas Chronicles is included with that, and also Get Santa. Look, just because the director usually does horror films doesn't mean Get Santa is automatically a horror film.
I was gonna say, isn't Get Santa the only movie he's made that's not a horror movie?
I'm pretty sure that's the case. We'll obviously look into that when we get it to Movie Club in a week or two. Spencer says, will you guys be doing a personal Oscars again? I actually love to see it every year. More than likely. We'll probably do it in or around Oscars weekend.
We'll have a ton of content for you, especially with the fact that WGA is taking 12 hours after like the show is over, and by that I mean like a month to be able to get into the actual end of the actual thing. So we're gonna do our normal recap after the Oscars, but we're gonna kind of do like an addendum for WGA. So
yeah, Die Hard should have won Best Picture, Spencer says.
What should have won Best Picture?
Die Hard.
I'm actually perfectly okay with Rain Man winning Best Picture in 1988.
Rain Man is so good.
I mean, I also love Mississippi Burning, and actually, my favorite movie of 1988 might be Talk Radio, but of the nominees, I probably would still pick Rain. I don't know if it's just because I grew up watching Rain Man anyway, but like I've watched it recently, and there's so many powerful scenes in it, like so many.
Did you get a chance to watch it when it was back in the theaters a couple years ago?
I wanted to, but I wasn't able to.
My time frame didn't work. That's back when I wasn't really paying attention to things, but now that I am, I probably wouldn't have skipped out on it for sure.
I think it was just last year they were doing that, actually. I don't know why, but
it didn't work my plans. I think it was during. Actually, I'm pretty sure it was during Horror Nights.
Yeah, this year would have been a 5 anniversary. I don't know why they didn't do it this year instead of last year.
Sometimes they don't make sense.
Spencer says, I hate The Colour Purple as an award concept, the same way that I hated West Side Story a few years back as a concept. Didn't watch it and will not watch Colour Purple either. I'll just rewatch the original one instead. I mean, to be fair, at least with Colour Purple, this one is like adapting the original into a musical. What West Side Story did was adapt the musical into a musical.
There's really only one thing that scares me about The Color Purple, which is the movie is already 2.5 hours, the original movie.
Right.
Does making it a musical make it longer?
I would have told you what the time was. I don't have it in front of me, and I can't really touch my computer right now. But I mean, my movie plans for that day, Color Purple is one of them, and it's I do recall that being the case.
2020.
The original movie the original movie is 2 hours and 33 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds.
But when I hear The Color Purple musical, the first thing I think of is probably long.
Telling you, like I said before, Spencer, just keep getting me more trailers of The Color Purple. I'm gonna lose all faith in it.
I mean, I'm interested to see the performances and how those characters translate to a musical.
The trailer comes off well, so I mean, we get your Fantasia Barrino, who I'll throw a shout to somebody that said yesterday on the Oscar podcast that it was kind of a not a smart move for us not going with Fantasia Barrino. I was one of the first ones that did, so I just like I said, it's just weirdly enough, I'm not sure if it's going to be an Oscar performance. I guess we'll have to wait and see. I mean, I'm getting obviously not because of the circumstance and everything, but I'm getting serious Dreamgirl vibes. But
The thing is, there is no details as to even when the premiere is happening.
I'm just gonna talk over myself, apparently. Yeah, it reminds me of the Jennifer. I'm telling you, I'm not going, which of course is the show stopping, and then of course you have the big Fantasia Barrino like show stopping, show stealing moment in the trailer that makes me think, maybe this is the same thing again. Who knows? I guess we'll see. I'll find out soon enough.
I'd be curious who the person that said this, who is an actress contender that they are not going for, that they can say Fantasia's definite.
I just think they're more confident in Fantasia than some are, and I mean I've seen a lot of people going for her, and I'll probably continue to see that as we move on through the months. But I mean, I guess maybe
because what we seem to have been moving towards is the possibility that The Color Purple will just get like tech nominations and Danielle Brooks, and that might be it.
Yeah,
depending on what the competition is. So, yeah.
Had to quickly bring that up because Spencer mentions Charles Melton is going in my supporting actor predictions. I feel a swing for him. I'm not saying that it like massively matters, especially when the Gotham also now merges the categories.
I mean,
so
it's
supporting
visibility.
The craziest thing about the merging categories is that he beat Devon Joy Randolph.
Mm-hmm. That's insane.
Which is wild.
And then, of course, Lily Gladstone wins, but not for Killers of the Flower Moon because it obviously isn't eligible.
As I did she win for that other movie? Did she really? I'm sure she's great in whatever that movie is.
I mean, she wrote the story as well, so it's actually more her picture than Killers of the Flower Moon was. And yeah, so she's starring and did the story, didn't produce it. But that was premiered at South by Southwest in March 2022, so it's been over a year or so. So
I mean, it's very possible I'm sleeping on May December, and I originally wanted to go for it, and it's just like slowly but surely, I just not losing faith in it. It was just I found other performances that I feel they're gonna gravitate towards more, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just the fact that I have no way of seeing the movie. It makes it more difficult.
Well, it seems Haynes movies are pretty hard to predict awards-wise because there's a lot of times where they look like they're going to be really huge, and he's pretty good about getting acting nominations for like at least half his filmography, but they never really do big yet.
I mean, we could get Portman and Melton, and that would be all it does.
Yeah, because you could say his biggest contenders, unless I'm forgetting something obvious, is like Carol and Far From Heaven. But those didn't do as much as they could have. This is such a random thing. I'm still kind of baffled by Carol not getting into production design. That's like one of the first things I associate Carol with.
A.V. Rockwell got breakthrough director for 1001. Anatomy of a Fall beat All of the Strangest, Poor Things, Totem, and The Zone of Interest to Best International Feature. On top of beating All of the Strangest, May, December, and The Zone of Interest, along with RMN for Best Screenplay. That was
Yeah,
the big double for them.
that's a big win for them. But the thing is like most of the likely contenders for screenplay at this point weren't even involved. So it's like a bunch of non-competition. Again, visibility. We throw that word out every single season, and it's always has credence to it. But I mean, at the end of the day, did they really beat anybody that's going to be a challenger at the Oscars?
Yeah, Four Daughters took Best Documentary, which I can't remember whether it won at Cannes. It was in the entry stuff, and it's I think Tunisia's entry in terms of the international feature. So we've got another chance of a doc doubling up, I would say. And then Past Lives getting Best Feature as well. And then,
Yeah, because I feel like Gotham is one of those awards that's kind of evolved, hasn't it? Because wasn't it like 10 years ago? It was like nothing but movies nobody had heard of.
Mm-hmm.
As the one thing that always stands out is when in 2010 Daddy Longlegs won something at Gotham, and it was like I don't know what that is, but I'm going to focus on all the other award stuff. And that ended up being like wasn't that like the Safdies' first movie or something? And we just didn't know who they were at the time.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, now it's kind of turning into the Spirit Awards of here's all the stuff that's not really that independent, but
well,
that's just what
especially
we're
now
gonna
that they
do.
removed the 35 million budget restriction, which left it
Makes me
open for a lot of things, but instead they just gave them the honorary ones instead.
it makes me think that the only love I'm going to see for Sanctuary this season is going to be when I do. I have my predictions at the end of this year.
You know, Air got the visionary icon and creator tribute.
Yep.
Then Maestro got the cultural icon and creator tribute. Barbie got the global icon and creator tribute. And then Killers of the Flower Moon got the historical icon and creator tribute. Which
It's
also
kind of
apparently had De Niro unhappy because somebody at Variety didn't agree with the opening bits of his speech being political. And so I
that
have them on my phone, I'm reading them anyway.
that's actually kind of unfortunate about independent awards trying so hard to be mainstream now. Because it makes me wonder, like, and this could totally be, like, the Safdies were probably always going to make Heaven Knows What or whatever the drug movie was that they made. I didn't care for
Oh,
it.
good time.
Um, but I wonder, it's like, even though people say Gotham's like a really, really small, insignificant award, it's like, would Daddy Longlegs winning something here made them high profile enough in the indie world that it helped propel them to make that second movie? And if that's the case, how many independent people aren't getting seen now because they want to go more mainstream is kind of unfortunate. How we might have like another Safdies that just didn't make the cut here and they'll just make indie movies that go unseen forever. That would suck.
Makes me wonder whether the same will happen with the TV stuff, because A Small Light got like breakthrough series over 40 minutes, which is the Nat Geographic slash Disney Plus slash Hulu, depending where you watch it, mini series about well, basically about Anne Frank, but told from the secretary's view, who wasn't one of the Frank, names and whatever. And then Beef got the other two, breakthrough series, and then Ali Wong for performance as well. And also, Ferrari got the Innovation Award, and Rusting got the Social Justice Award. Whatever that means. I don't know what was innovative about Michael Mann's film.
I wish I could watch Beef because it sounds really good. But it's like I've always said about me and series. Where it's just like I always get the idea of I should watch it. I should make it a point to watch that. I'm not going to. That's just what happens with me and series.
I watched three series since I moved to Florida. I watched Fuller House, 13 Reasons Why, and Heels. I have not watched anything else.
Great, I have no chance of seeing Ferrari now because it's also being distributed by Sky Cinema. Damn it.
So that's another thing. Maybe we're discounting someone else, an actor, potentially. I doubt it, but I mean, you never know. Adam Driver's a lot of people on his side. That's definitely a makeup nomination for sure.
It might just be one of those things where something comes out and it's good, but it just comes out too late.
Possible.
I'm still bitter about the fact that Patriots Day didn't do anything, probably because of that.
Tell me about it.
Spencer says, Chicken Run 2 just seems so unneeded. I mean, yeah. I feel more upset with having the recasting for some roles that didn't really need to be recast. In all honesty, I think the only people that are reprising their roles are Jane Horrocks as Babs the Chicken, and then Miranda Richardson as some sort of version of Mrs. Tweedy, whatever the hell that.
It has a really good poster. I did notice that. But I'm not even passionate about the first movie really, so I really am completely indifferent to this. That's another one of those ones where we have a pretty high viewed for our standards video of Chicken Run on this channel, and I can't tell you a single thing I said in that video. Nothing.
The fascinating thing is, like, a lot of the people that I follow really, were not that much of a fan of it, but somehow it's got an 81% on Rotten Tomatoes. So I don't know where it falls.
I remember the reason I remember the first one was critically acclaimed was when Richard Roeper made a list in a book that he wrote where it was movies that all the critics loved but I didn't, and he ranked them by the amount of hate mail he got for his reviews, and Chicken Run was like 2. Number 1 was Fellowship, and he said the amount of hate mail he got for Fellowship was more than all the other movies on the list combined. Which makes sense.
I'll scroll back up. While I get my dinner, because I don't want to make a sort of false move here because I don't know what is and what isn't. So this is probably mainly for AJ. Films that you think deserve a Criterion release, and films that you were shocked got a Criterion release, as in, like, why does this exist?
Yeah, it's really hard to remember when you go way back what's already in the collection. 'Cause there's like when you watch the Criterion Closet videos, some people will pull something off and it'll be like, "Oh, I had no idea that even had one." It's like it was before they like kind of revamped it. It's like the old Criterions, but I would say it's hard to think of any where I'm like shocked. I remember Ethan Hawke said he was shocked that Tootsie had one, but I don't know, that kind of makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I guess I would. It's one of those cases where it makes perfect sense that they have Criterions, but it's also kind of shocking too, and that's John Waters' movies. Like, like I said, I get it, and their significance, but it's also kind of surprising that, that Pink Flamingos has a Criterion.
Crazy to think that.
And as far as stuff that needs it, I've always, for the longest time, I said Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer. But the more I think about it, the more Arrow's probably likely to do that before Criterion is, if I had to guess. I think it's just because I tend to associate Henry with Man Bites Dog, which is a video on this channel.
Yes.
And Man Bites Dog obviously is one of the classic Criterions. It has that really fucking disturbing cover that's not even a scene in the movie. But I would say, God, I'm trying to think of stuff that's not like newer, because I'm conflicted about when like newer movies immediately get Criterions unless it's a case where they need a home, like when they're coming from Netflix is another thing. But like I guess like Crossfire might come to mind. I think it's just got like a Warner Archive one at the moment. The Robert Mitchum movie that had like I think it was one of the blacklisted writers. Is this like really great crime movie from 1947? I think that would be pretty ripe for it. I was thinking when I was reviewing it a couple months ago, I'm kind of surprised the original Invasion of the Body Snatchers doesn't have one yet. I'm sure it will eventually, but I'm surprised it doesn't yet. As far as like newer ones, a couple came to mind recently. I could actually see Pig, Nicolas Cage's movie, getting one in the future, which would be really nice. Fruitvale Station came to mind because it's interesting that Fruitvale Station was like this monumental movie for like a few months, and then it's just kind of, even with Ryan Coogler at the place he's at now, it's almost like unless Ryan Coogler comes up in conversation, you almost forget Fruitvale Station exists.
Yeah.
So that'd be something. Yeah, anything where the director's like big now and started small, like with where Denis Villeneuve is right now. I imagine Ensemble is probably really kind of around the corner, Criterion wise.
Have any of Bong Joon Ho's earlier stuff gone up on Criterion yet?
I want to say, besides Okja, Parasite, and Memories of Murder, I can't remember anything else of his that is.
Didn't he do? I'm trying to remember if he did The Host as well.
He did The Host. I don't think The Host isn't on Criterion, is it? I don't think so. We need an update on the Devil and Daniel Webster. For sure. We need a Blu-ray for that. We also need I don't think Lubitsch's Heaven Can Wait ever got a Blu-ray. That needs to happen. There was something else that somebody brought up, like in one of the last two Q&As or something, where I thought that it was Body Heat. Body Heat would probably really fit the Criterion Collection very well. And some people may disagree with this, but it's a movie I love and a movie I've been thinking about lately. Um, honestly, genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, a movie that I think would fit nicely into the Criterion Collection is Juno. I'd really love to see that happen. I said I don't know how many people agree with that, but I'm very passionate about that movie. So yeah, I wish I had more answers for. I'm shocked that they have one, but I can't really think of any apart from like Pink Flamingos. Even though I understand why, I understand the significance.
Yeah. Josie decrees it is a full moon tonight. That it is.
Makes sense.
Spencer asks, AJ, would you ever do a video on Bruce Willis's career?
I'm sure I could. The first thing I probably have to do to make that well rounded is watch Moonlighting,
Yes.
which is something I'd kind of like to do because I have this great fear of jinxing people because for some reason I will watch a movie or bring up a movie and somebody will die associated with that movie. It just happened again with Ellie Silverstein. I just watched his movie The Happening again recently, and I mean he was 96, but still, um, it's weird. Um, but yeah, I would want to watch Moonlighting, and I have 3 movies of his that I want to do for Movie Club, and I've been putting them off because I'm afraid of being the reason that something
Yeah.
happens. I want to talk. I want to. I can go ahead. I can keep these secret or whatever. I'll say them. The Last Boy Scout, The Whole Nine Yards, and Bandits. I've always wanted to bring the Movie Club, and I've been too afraid to do it. And The Whole Nine Yards, apparently, it wouldn't have mattered. I would have fucked somebody up anyway. So
I've I've got a Bruce Willis movie coming up in Movie Club in 2024. A movie that I've been talking about for a long time. A movie that has a lot of people in it. Bruce Willis is a part of the movie.
I'm curious if I know what this is.
This is a movie that has a ton of people in it. It's a movie that a lot of people probably don't remember. And it's a movie that I absolutely love. Starring somebody that I've shared a stage with.
Oh no.
Hell yeah. It's coming.
Oh, that'll be a really interesting video.
Yes, it was.
I mean, okay. One reason that video will be interesting is, like you, I don't actually hate that movie.
Mm-hmm.
That movie's fucked up,
Yeah, it is.
but yet I don't hate it.
I'm trying to work
I
out
thought
why Moonrise Kingdom is fucked up. Oh, wait.
I was afraid you were gonna say Hudson Hawk.
No,
I'm one of the like I don't know what the fuck people see in that movie,
I was never a fan.
but no.
It's definitely it's been on my list for a while, and it's something that's coming in 2024. So I mean, it's like I've been wanting to talk about it on here for a while, and I've never actually talked about it like on video anywhere. So I know I've read it several times.
He also has a movie that's really off the radar that basically went off the radar because nobody saw it and the people that did see it hated it. And it's another thing where I get it. It's a movie called Breakfast of Champions. It's him and Nick Nolte. And Nolte is amazing in that movie. It's good. It's way like comedic Nolte and he's amazing. That's something I've always kind of wanted to read. I've seen it once back in like the video store days, but I've always wanted to come back to it to see if it's like the movie I remember it being. So, yeah, so stuff like that too would be a good reason to do like a Bruce Willis kind of thing. It might have to be over multiple videos actually. There's
That's
a lot.
for 2024, actually, like a loose theme we could possibly do.
Yeah.
Put a pin in that for another time. That might be something to look into further.
So I hate talking about it in the terms we're kind of talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I don't want to do that, but because we did a similar theme for another actor after the fact, And it's like, but I don't. While he's still here, I don't want to. I hate the way we're kind of saying what we're saying. But yeah, I'm more than willing to do a lot of Bruce Willis talk at some point. I actually was just thinking about Unbreakable like yesterday.
Just because I'm jumping forward because I'm putting in the 10-minute cutoff for chat questions. Josie says, "What's the next movie club pick?" Get Santa is the next movie club pick. We're doing some festive themed ones to coincide with everything. Just wrap it up so then in January we sort of start afresh to some extent. Which I think is still available for free on a lot of places. So I'm not trying to rip money out of you this time. Right, favorite Alexander Payne script.
Script specifically?
Yeah. So obviously we include Jurassic Park 3 and I now pronounce you Chuck and Larry. If somehow they were going to appear in best script from Alexander Payne, and maybe the uncredited rewrite for Meet the Parents. I don't know.
I think I know what AJ's gonna say.
Well, first I was gonna say I just watched an amazing interview with Alexander Payne like last week, where I think it's the Happy Sad Confused guy, Josh. I can't remember what his last name is now, but I think that's the first time I've seen Jurassic Park 3 mentioned to Payne's face to see how he reacts.
Wow.
And you knew it was going to be gold because I believe as soon as it was brought up, the first thing Payne said was, "Look, man," and then he explained himself. But he actually explained it to where they did like he was it seemed like he was more or less happy with what they did on that movie. It was just such a chaotic production. But I think, interestingly enough, my answer I know is not going to be Sideways, because my relationship with Sideways has always been I really, really like it, but I never truly fell in love with it. I just really like it.
Pretty sure I know your answer, but we'll see if I'm right.
Well, the next direction I would consider for sure is Election.
Okay.
But I think for me, it's really down to About Schmidt and the Descendants.
Yep. That's where I thought you'd go.
I think it's About Schmidt, but I really I cannot downplay how much I love the Descendants.
I thought you
can't do it. But I think Schmidt almost feels forgotten in a sense, because when you say Alexander Payne, somebody will say Sideways, somebody will say Election, somebody will say The Descendants. There's not many people that would say Schmidt first.
Probably not.
But that was the first time he worked with June Squibb,
Yep.
which I always forgot about at first, because it was like she showed up in Nebraska and I was like, I know her from somewhere. Oh, it's another Payne movie, of course.
There'd be even less people that say Downsizing.
Yeah, if anybody says Downsizing, they need to go to the doctor or something.
I'm looking at the list though. I've never seen or know about Citizen Ruth, his debut.
Yeah, I've got a VHS of it somewhere, and I watched it once, and I remember liking it, but then I just kind of never went back to it. I was just listening to an interview recently where talking about him reuniting with actors. I love Dermot Mulroney in About Schmidt, but I had heard that part of Thomas Hayden Church getting the part in Sideways is he was initially the first choice for that part, and I love the idea of that. I wouldn't take that part away from Dermot Mulroney, but I love the idea of Thomas Hayden Church playing that character also. So kind of seeing the evolution of his career. That whole interview was really good, and he was like really open. His Criterion Closet video is great too. Payne's one of those guys where if you talk to him for like 2 minutes, he probably seems really pompous and kind of pretentious. But then if you talk to him for just like 10 more minutes, you realize he's anything but that. And he seems like he'd be really cool to hang out with.
So, an interesting little series of questions here, all regarding current directors and classic actresses, dead or alive, however you want to look into that. So I guess but sort of time machine-esque. Which classic actress do you think would really gel well in a Scorsese film?
I'm really bad at these.
I kind of want to say Hepburn.
Yeah. It definitely depends on what the reason I feel bad at these is because there's not much specificity. Like it would really depend on the part. Like if you were to say like which classic actors could play this kind of part in a Scorsese movie, that would kind of help narrow it down. But yeah, these are difficult, I think.
Even more difficult, a classic actress with Emerald Fennell.
Maybe like what are we counting as classic? Like, would I be able to say Glenda Jackson here?
Yeah, I wasn't thinking that, but I was thinking Marilyn Monroe. Because I think, we did. Emerald would write good humor for her. Because I'm guessing there's a lot of dark humor with Rosamund Pike and a lot of the female characters in Saltburn.
Yes.
Just as much as there's some elements of it, obviously, in Promising Young Woman as well. So
Yeah, you can watch one without seeing the other.
Yeah, because Emerald Fennell's like shown that she's like envelope pushing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I immediately went to like 70s actresses where like the envelope was getting pushed in the entire industry, and where the actresses that were willing to do crazy shit in the 70s would be the kinds of actresses that would want to do Emerald Fennell movies.
I would. You pushed to the '70s, and the first thing that popped into my mind was Pam Grier.
Oh yeah.
uh,
Emerald Fennell's Jawbreaker would have been a much better movie.
Great.
Wow, I actually really want to see that.
Heck, Emerald Fennell doing Mean Girls would have been great too.
An Alexander Payne film is what comes up next with Spencer's question. Spencer
Actually,
says Claudette Colbert.
Yeah. I was just about to say, oh, and you're the only one that like knows the details of this. Emerald Fennell doing Mean Girls is kind of something that I'm writing right now.
That's 100%.
Yeah, I wish I was better at this taking classic actresses and putting them in now thing, but I did that once on a forum and it came out perfectly, and I've never been able to do it well since. I used actors from the 50s and 60s and recast Pulp Fiction,
Mm.
and it turned out so good. But I can only remember like the only one I can really remember is I cast Walter Matthau as the wolf because somebody commented and they said, "Dude, Walter Matthau could play the wolf in 1994." It's like, yeah, he really could have.
Amazing.
Spencer asks somebody to go with Nolan. I know it's not technically classic, but considering her vintage, she was around probably in the 70s. Judi Dench would be interesting to have in a Nolan thing. I'm surprised that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah. The only problem is the 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 actress roles in Nolan movies are not much. Like I'm thinking,
Yeah.
like obviously there's Blunt and Pugh and Oppenheimer. Obviously, I think other than that, Carrie Ann Moss in Memento. Apart from that, how many interesting female roles are there in Nolan movies?
True.
I mean, maybe Cotillard in Inception, but even so, it's yeah.
Josie says, if I was to pick a classic actress to work with Paul Thomas Anderson, it would be Dorothy McGuire. I think she's underrated.
I gotta correct myself real quick. Rebecca Hall in The Prestige
Oh yeah.
is also fantastic. But other than that,
I don't know, Josie. When I saw you bring up PTA, the first thing that came to my mind is one of the people that I think would be really good in a script from Paul Thomas Anderson from back in the day would be Lucille Ball.
And not just because of
is
that
that
bit in Licorice Pizza.
because Christine Eversole plays her in Licorice Pizza?
It's very possible.
I do like the Dorothy McGuire shout out. She is somebody who like does not get shouted out like ever.
Josie also says I could see Gene Tierney working with either Emerald Fennell or Yorgos Lanthimos.
Oh, that'd be fun. Yeah, because you definitely have to look at the actresses that were willing to do parts that were insane for their era to imagine them in parts now.
Greta Gerwig. Spencer says I'd say Katharine Hepburn or Irene Dunn.
I feel like
I know we only saw a little bit of sort of her, but I kind of want to say Deborah Kerr, whatever you want to call her. I say both.
Jeez.
It's like Twitter and X.
Wow.
say I was just everybody knows how I feel about Gerwig, but I was just sitting here thinking of an actress, and it was like, where could she go? And then you said Gerwig, and it was like, damn it, that might be it. Much as I hate to say it. The person I was thinking of is Ginger Rogers, because she's an incredible actress, but people pretty much only associate her with the Astaire movies when she's a lot more than that and capable of a lot more than that. And yeah, I hate it, but when you said Gerwig, it was like, I guess that wouldn't be bad.
I was Shirley Temple for Gerwig.
Which era of Shirley Temple?
I'd say probably kind of like more breaking out. So it's like when she's known, but she's not as known yet. So she's kind of like about ready to break through, but she's not exactly broken through yet.
No, so not like the teenage years, like The Bachelor and the Bobby Soxer and stuff like that. You're talking like way back.
Like change her career trajectory forever if that's something that would have happened.
Yeah, because something Shirley Temple really needed was something in that era where she was in The Bachelor and the Bobby Soxer to kind of make her like bring her back to the big status that she was as a child. But I don't think that role ever really came.
No.
And then Celine Song is the last name that Spencer comes up with. Spencer says I'd say Anna May Wong. And Josie says I picture Ruby D working with Celine Song.
Yeah. I'm obsessed now with Josie's idea of a Brief Encounter Past Lives double feature. I'm 100% going to do that when I get a copy of Past Lives, which will hopefully be soon.
As far as the state of the race, I'm super happy. Anatomy of a Fall screenplay at the Gotham Awards. I hope that sets it on a good trajectory. And then, why make a live action Your Name when we already have Past Lives? Well, actually, Past Lives would be more akin to 5 centimeters per second, another Makoto Shinkai film, but you know what I mean.
I'm not. I'm just one of. I just don't have the energy to get all up in arms about remakes in general. I know people get really passionate about that. People could go on for fucking days about it. I just really don't care if something gets remade because usually they get forgotten about quickly anyway. So what are we getting mad about? It's just gonna. I'm not saying that's the conversation that's happening here. I'm just saying in general because anytime some sort of remake is announced, you just see everybody going, "Oh my god, the world is ending," and it's like, for fuck's sake, nobody's probably going to remember it in a couple of years after it comes out anyway. What does it matter? Did the fucking Lion King got remade? Did the fucking world end? No, it plays on ABC every now and then as background noise, I imagine, for some households. But
I mean,
last I checked,
Can we blame the Lion King for the pandemic though? Because they sort of coincide with each other.
No, we'll blame Mulan for that.
Oh,
But,
I forgot that one existed.
yeah, but yeah. When I go back to '94's The Lion King, it just never occurs to me there's another version.
Yeah.
It just doesn't fucking matter. Let them waste their goddamn money. You don't have to worry about it.
I was looking at the Christmas listings and it said Lion King's on. I'm like, yes, the premiere of the live action one. Balls. I mean, they got Die Hard 2 on. As long as they have Die Hard 1, that'll cover it. Also, for some reason, they're showing House of Gucci, which will be fun in the new year. I'm guessing that's when it's going to be on. And I think the premiere of Toy Story 4, which will be right after the King's speech. That they've pretty much confirmed, I think. Spencer says Charles Melton and Lily Gladstone for another movie. Low. I still think it helps. Don't get me wrong. I think it does, but I just feel like that sort of nearly everybody at the time when the nominations were announced was Lily Gladstone gets nominated, but not for what you think.
Clickbait.
Past Lives is fire. Teo Yu is my personal pick. I don't know if that's for supporting or lead in the Gothams, possibly. I don't know. And then Spencer says Julianne Moore, the love of my life. She could punch me in the face and I'd thank her. She's timeless. In response to Josie saying that she's so beautiful for a woman of her age.
I'm really psyched that she's doing another Todd Haynes movie because she's needed a good role for a while. It's like once she won her Oscar, it was either just really off the radar stuff or just shit. With maybe one or two things coming through, but yeah, I'm really I think I'm setting unfair expectations for that performance in May December.
Josie has mentioned in a previous session how film professor Dr. Will Dodson said that the Past Lives poster grosses him out because the subway rails are probably filled with disease.
Yeah.
Bit extreme. I kind of see what is being said. Are there any movie scenes where you say to yourself, man, this character should really wash their hands after touching something? With honourable shout out to that's one big pile of shit from Jurassic Park.
I feel like I always have to wash my hands, so I feel like I'm saying that constantly. I can't even think of a specific example. I mean, I would say the gum scene in Elf, but the fact on his hands is kind of transcended by the fact that he's fucking putting it in his mouth.
Irony is, Josie does say Elf as well, but after eating the bird poop. Also, after the prom scene in Carrie, she could have benefited from a shower. I wouldn't take a bath.
Yeah.
Spencer says, "How to eat fried worms? They should have been washing more."
Yeah, basically, kind of like the subway thing. Pretty much anytime somebody touches a railing, or a door for that matter. Like I don't have like, legit OCD or anything, but I have very much been in that situation in The Aviator where he's stuck in the bathroom because he can't touch the door, so he just stands there and waits for it to open. Like any time you go into a public bathroom and it's an air dryer is the worst fucking thing ever. I want to abolish those for a number of reasons.
Right.
Birthdays today: Mary Elizabeth Winstead, aka Mrs. Ewan McGregor, Alfonso Cuarón, Coleman Domingo, Ed Harris, Judd Nelson, Joe Dante, Jon Stewart, and the late Gloria Graham. Spencer says Spencer says I only sci-fi for the most part in kids' movies. That's a thing.
The movie that I shouted out for the Criterion conversation, Crossfire, I believe Gloria Graham is in that as well. So there you go.
Josie says, I'm very curious what your predictions are for the Globe since they have 6 in each category now. Are we going to be doing a Golden Globes nomination prediction video? No. We only predict the Oscars.
I don't think I knew about that change, and I hate it. I really hate it.
Well, certainly we give our reactions to the Globe announcement probably in a few weeks.
Yep.
Today I watched Freeway from 1996, originally rated NC-17, reduced to R after the removal of some explicit dialogue and toning down some of the violence. Spencer says, I think TOU gets in and Glenn Howerton. I love for newcomers.
Okay. There are times where somebody will be off the radar and then they'll get a Globe nomination and then momentum will start. Still, the first thing that always comes to mind was Bale for The Big Short. I remember that season vividly, and I don't remember anybody talking about Bale in The Big Short until he got his Globe nomination.
Right.
And then he got like every other nomination after that, pretty much, if I remember correctly. So, if 6 slots can get somebody like Howerton in, then maybe I don't hate it.
I'm good with that.
Josie says to Spencer, I can definitely see TOU and Greta Lee getting in the Globe's drama acting lineups. They deserve it. It's very theatrical in a good way.
It really, visibility will help a lot, and I feel like we're at a place now where it could probably use it. I hate to say it, but it kind of needs to get more out there again.
Josie agrees with Spencer that Fantasia should go back to American Idol and be a judge. No movies, please.
It's fine when American Idol people are in movies. Just don't give them don't give them acting Oscars for singing, because that's what's the stretch here.
Kiefer Sutherland. I don't know what this is in relation to. From Josie. Kiefer Sutherland, Bob, played Wolfgang Bodinson's Detective Mike Brewer, commanding officer in A Few Good Men, where Wolfgang was on trial for murder.
Yes. I've actually before.
Reese Witherspoon, by the way, is a children's book called Busy Betty. The first one came out last September, I believe. The sequel, Busy Betty and the Circus Surprise, released this past October. Oh, and Spencer says, Jennifer Hudson proved that these awards don't translate to future better performances. I feel that's why you haven't seen that much from Symphonia Erivo. Because she's better doing the Broadway and the West End stuff.
After Bad Times at the El Royale, I feel like Cynthia Erivo could be a major actress if she got the right parts. Because that was a nice juicy part in Bad Times at the El Royale, and she should have honestly been in the race for it. Like, no question.
Lately I've been watching some MST3K. In the episode I watched last night, they made fun of the Christmas that almost wasn't. Are we fans?
Yes,
I mean,
absolutely.
I mean, my name is in the credits in one episode of season 11 and 12, so probably. I can't remember whether I went far enough with the backing to get in the credits for 13. And I did, I put my money in to try and get 14 to happen, but for some reason they didn't do it on Kickstarter, and 4 million, I guess, was a bit too much of a reach this time round. But yeah, because I'm a James Bond fan, I constantly watch his take of that Operation Kid Brother with Neil Connery. And practically everybody, the entire cast from bloody Thunderball, apart from her, what's her name from Russia with Love? Daniela Bianchi. The bit I love is when the circus thing happens, and it's just like all this weird cat stuff. And they've done whatever they've done by hijacking the nuclear weapon somehow with this cat circus thing. And then it hard cuts to like the baddie's office, and Anthony, what's his name? Anthony Quayle from Doctor. I can't remember.
Are you talking about Anthony Dawson?
Yeah, Anthony Dawson. Anthony Dawson's just there, sort of at the head of the office, like as if he's looking at what's just happened as it like hard cuts in, and either it was Mike or Joe or whatever was like, "What the hell was that?" Reese Witherspoon's daughter looks like her twin.
Yeah, it's insane.
Josie says, I want to see Mystery Science Theater making fun of each of the 10 Best Picture nominees. I mean, that'd be something nice to see, sort of like, as rather than having like celebrities introduce the video package, have sort of a tongue-in-cheek thing. Then again, I guess that means the monologue that happens at the start wouldn't happen, because that's the whole purpose of the opening monologue.
I was thinking about like what year had a less than stellar lineup, and it's like when you ask a lot of people, they'll tell you 2018's lineup, because it was like Bohemian Rhapsody and Green Book and stuff like that. But then it was like, then they'd watch The Favorite. Like they wouldn't be bashing it or making fun of it, but they'd certainly be reacting to it.
Josie says, I mentioned one of my first time watches yesterday being Wag the Dog, with a little bit of Wag the Dog trivia here and there. Spencer randomly says, I love Halloween Town. Josie says, Why change horses midstream was originally a campaign slogan for Lincoln during the Civil War. Tell that to Napoleon. Many political commentators and critics referred to the film even using the term wag the dog to describe the events. Interest in the movie spiked quickly during this time. Spencer asks us, what do we think of Ponyo?
It's fine. It's not like, his highest level by any means, but it's fine, I guess.
And I guess in relation to that, favorite G Kids release.
I'm gonna have to pull up a list, actually.
Yeah, I'm trying to have a quick check of some of the stuff. I know I've heard a lot of good things about the first Slam Dunk. You know, the basketball film that came out earlier this year.
Wow, there's more than I thought. Oh, Ashley's muted. I was wondering what was. There was too much silence just now.
I'm trying to work out whether all three of the Irish folklore trilogy, Wolfwalkers and Song of the Sea and Secret of Callus, were all G Kids. Weathering with You is very good. Oh, they did the 2018 release of Perfect Below. And Grave of the Fireflies. Although that's, Ghibli, I guess, so. Did they do Secret of Kells? Yeah. I'd say the Folklore trilogy. Secret of Kells, Song of the Sea, and Wolfwalkers is probably the strongest stuff. That isn't Ghibli.
I was gonna say Wolfwalkers, though. Obviously, I have a tiny bit of a bias towards The Wind Rises. Yeah, Wolfwalkers was the first thing that came to mind, and that appears to be confirmed, with maybe The Breadwinner standing out. I actually, despite everything I've heard, I've actually never seen Grave of the Fireflies. It's not even necessarily that I'm afraid of like how emotional it is. I just haven't gone. I don't think I've had like access to it, or I've never really sought it out or something. But yeah, I will do that at some point. But I'm very curious because of how just insanely heavy apparently it is.
Any come to mind for you, Owen?
I honestly could probably say right now, I don't think I've ever seen one.
Thinking when I saw Ponyo, you were there.
Did I see Ponyo?
That could be a false memory.
Like Matt Damon?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did see that.
He played the guy that looked a little Tim Burton-esque.
Yeah. That's unfair for the question because I've only seen one.
Back to some Wag the Dog stuff. During the filming of it, director Barry Levinson and Dustin Hoffman and De Niro had an impromptu coincidental meeting at a DC hotel with President Bill Clinton. Clinton asked De Niro, "What's the movie about?" De Niro looked over to Levinson, hoping that he would answer the question. Levinson in turn looked across to Hoffman, Hoffman, realizing there was no one else to whom to pass the buck, is quoted as saying, "So I just started to tap dance. I can't even remember what I said." With Spencer adding De Niro as a badass mofo. The production crew left several pairs of shoes behind, and they remained hanging on the electric wires for years. Timothy randomly mentions Interview with a Vampire the series. That hasn't been too bad from the bits that I've seen of it.
I don't think I knew it existed until I was looking at the Gotham list.
Yeah, I only knew of it like a month or two before they started showing it, because I guess they announced that they got the distribution to it over here on the BBC. Because this is the only number that's been reserved by the phone company as allowable fake 1-800 number for media usage. That's a brand. I don't know whether I missed a paragraph there, Josie. Hoffman and Levinson did this movie while on a break from making Sphere.
Yeah, I was gonna say, as far as Interview with the Vampire goes, I know people really crave stretching stories out, where it's like anytime a movie comes out, people are like, "Oh, it should have been a series. It should be a mini series. It should be a full series. It should be multiple seasons. There's so much we could go into," and it's like Neil Jordan's movie is just fine to me. I love Neil Jordan's movie, and that's all the story of that I think I need to have.
Josie's asking me, have I read any good Christmas or holiday themed books or short stories? I mean, the actual book behind A Street Cat Named Bob, and it's
We've lost sound again.
Oh.
it's back, even though the thing didn't badum at me, so panic. Yeah, depending where I got cut off. The Street Cat Named Bob stuff, which I guess is partly true rather than fiction, is sort of pretty good. Yeah, the film's good as well. The actual specific Christmas film, not so much. Don't know why they did a sequel to that. Then again, I guess it just went straight to Amazon rather than getting a release. So, the author Jan Brett's some really good children's holiday books. Illustrations are amazing. Speaking of children's books, a few weeks ago I saw a children's book by Ludacris called Daddy and Me and the Rhyme to Be. Other celebrities have written children's books. Reese Witherspoon, as I brought up earlier, Jamie Lee Curtis, Julie Andrews, and John Lithgow. Trying to think. God knows how many people write Christmas kids' books now over here. Yeah, celebrities. Some of them are actually good, and then others are. You're just doing this because you want a paycheck, right? Spencer says because of Winn-Dixie and Firehouse Dog are good holiday movies. I'm trying to remember what I always get Firehouse Dog confused with that bloody playing with fire weird thing just because there's a dog in it. So I think that's the Firehouse Dog. Thanks, Nina.
Firehouse Dog is the one with Josh Hutcherson.
Right.
Yep.
and I remember one thing about that movie because it's Hawk is his original owner, and he loses him, and Josh Hutcherson finds him. And then there's a later scene when he's like really sorrowful about losing the dog, and he's just saying, "I suck," over and over again. And it's played for comedic effect, but it's also played very seriously for the comedic effect. That's the only scene I remember.
I remember.
In addition to kids' books, Lithgow's written a couple of satire poetry books: Dumpty, the Age of Trump, Trumpety Dumpty Wanted a Cow, and A Confederacy of Dumpties. Dave Matthews from the Dave Matthews Band is in Winn-Dixie. 3 years ago, he wrote a middle grade novel with Clett Barrett Smith called If We Were Giants. Matthew McConaughey wrote a children's book that was released in September called Just Because. Elizabeth Olsen's got a children's book series. Hattie Harmony Worry Detective. Claire Keegan, the Irish author of Foster, the novella that A Quiet Girl was based off of, has a new book of short stories called So Late in the Day. Spencer asks favourite Steve Zahn performance? I'm trying to remember. I think it was Zahn.
That thing you do.
Yeah, that's the amazing thing about Steve Zahn is like 10 movies instantly came to mind.
David Silverman without at all.
A Perfect Getaway.
The movie where he played Chris Benoit.
Happy Texas, of course. I love him in Daddy Daycare.
Yeah.
Joyride.
Yep.
I think Joyride's my favorite Steve Zahn performance, but
Great.
Rescue Dawn. Holy shit.
Yeah, Rescue Dawn was the one I was going to mention. That was he did better than Bale in that.
Isn't he the? I might be wrong on this. I'm losing consciousness as we speak. Isn't he the dad in Diary of a Wimpy Kid?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
And oh fuck. Shout out to the White Lotus, of course.
Yep.
And the one that I always forget because you're supposed to forget because it's CGI. He was with Andy Serkis in the War for the Planet of the Apes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bad Monkey.
It sounds great.
I actually love that character because a lot of people didn't like that character because he was so overly comedic. But what I loved is when we first meet that character, they're really good about being ambiguous about if he's trustworthy or not. And I actually really like that aspect of the character, even though he's like very over the top comedic.
Speaking of Planet of the Apes, I didn't realize there was a new movie coming out until I saw the trailer the other day.
I don't think I did. I think I heard there was just like some talk there was going to be another one. I didn't realize they fucking made it.
Oh yeah, 100% trailer I saw the other day. It was on Napoleon.
Yeah, basically the answer to that question is Steve Zahn is amazing. There is no definitive answer. There's like 20 answers.
Josie asks, who are my favourite female authors or favourite books by female authors? I mean, I don't want to be stereotypical, but Mary Shelley did a heck of a job with Frankenstein. Still stands up in all the adaptations that I've seen. Even that sort of average one, I Frankenstein, from like 10 years ago was actually not bad. Trying to think. I like Hilary Mantel's Wolseley trilogy. I guess you can call it that. The Henry VIII trilogy or whatever. As opposed to anything else. She also asks if you can name any favourite books by any Asian authors.
Book answer to that. myself. There are two authors that come to mind that I grew up reading and still, well, still remember to this day, and that's Judy Blume and Beverly Quimby.
Mm-hmm.
I was a big Ramona mark, and I loved when Ramona came out in the theaters. That was cool.
I assume you mean Beverly Cleary.
Very. Quimby is the Ramona's name.
Yeah.
I'm fading out of consciousness right now. I barely slept last night, but yeah, Beverly Cleary and Judy Blume.
The only real sort of thing I think I've read is Amy Tan's Joy Luck Club, at least in terms of female stuff. There was some sort of short story that I had to do for GCSE, but I can't remember it directly off the top of my head, and I don't want to get the book, but there was something in that was a sort of similar to Joy Luck Club, and sort of, talking about a childhood and whatever. So, yeah, don't want to say. Oh, wow. Spencer asks, does Pineapple Express still hold up for us?
100%, yes.
Yeah.
That video's on this channel too.
Yes, and I think we came to the conclusion in that video that the movie is nearly flawless.
Spencer then also asks thoughts on Sausage Party getting its sequel.
I wasn't aware of that. What else can you do?
It's funny you say that because I thought it was going to be like a Netflix thing because I see it keep popping up in surveys, but I thought it wasn't going to be a movie. I thought it was going to be a series because it doesn't really specify what it is. I just saw that it was coming. I didn't know it was a movie. Yeah, what can you do?
Well, at least Franco's character's dead, so they don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
Like, didn't it end with them going into like the real world or something?
Something like that.
Well, Rogan basically said, maybe they try and do it Who Framed Roger Rabbit style. With the animated stuff in the real world. And yeah, so it was 12 months ago that they confirmed that Sausage Party Foodtopia was greenlit from Amazon to have 8 episodes made coming out at some point next year. So
TV series, good. I was right. That was a guess.
I'll be curious to see the reception because people despise Sausage Party. Have you noticed this?
I feel there was a lot of people that enjoyed it, and then when the last 10 minutes happens, the food fight, if you will, people like jump the shark and go, nope.
The one criticism I was really on board with was it actually got distracting that every other word was fuck. Like usually it's like who cares, but in that movie it's noticeable.
Josie asks with Napoleon out. I have to ask, thoughts on Kingdom of Heaven and thoughts on Matchstick Men? I mean, Kingdom of Heaven's okay. Matchstick Men, I think, is underrated.
Mm-hmm.
I almost forgot, but I have done a video on Matchstick Men. It's a video with confidence. I remember getting Kingdom of Heaven from Blockbuster more than when I actually watched the movie. Mind you, I haven't seen the director's cut that everybody says. There's people that say the director's cut of Kingdom of Heaven is like one of Ridley Scott's best movies. So I'm really curious about that. And I was really distracted by the Edward Norton cameo, even though we never see his face, but it's so obvious that it's him. The biggest memory I have of Kingdom of Heaven is, and I don't even really, that's not my genre, so I don't know why I felt like I needed it and needed to see it. But I went to Blockbuster and there was the whole new release wall because it had just come out, and there was one left. And me and the guy next to me were both going for it, and I was the one that got to it first. And I kind of felt bad because as we were leaving, I was like, I don't even really want to see this. Like, I'm not in a hurry to see this. Well, I don't remember why the hell I felt like I needed to see it. But yeah, maybe because it was new or something.
I'll take Ruby Gilman for 500, Alex.
What's really funny is when me and my brother saw The Devil Wears Prada, the only reason we did it at the time was because it was the only thing at the theater we hadn't seen.
Yeah, I remember those days.
Lo and behold, I was seeing my favorite actress for the first time and didn't realize it. We did the same thing with Freedom Riders, the Hilary Swank movie.
Yes. Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Josie also says, in the summertime I read a book called Harlem Charade that I could see Celine's song adapting. Spencer asks, favourite fish out of water movie? Being There. That's my answer, just Being There.
I would say my obvious answer is Edward Scissorhands. I was trying to think of one that might be less obvious.
What do you consider a fish out of water movie?
Like when, God, I never thought about what the actual definition is. Where it's like somebody's like put in like like comes from one place and is in like a totally different environment they don't fit in, basically. That'd be like the most basic definition.
Okay.
Like Being There or Edward Scissorhands.
Encino Man.
That's a good one.
Man.
That it perfectly fits the criteria.
Based on your definition, absolutely it does.
I was just about to say, for like a recent example, I would say Barbie qualifies.
Oh yeah, for sure.
There's literally a Blade Being There reference in it when we follow Ken around.
Josie asks, favourite cereal scene in a movie? I immediately think of Mouse Hunt.
Friday comes to mind.
It's probably the only sort of significant bit that I remember. But Liam Neeson buying cereal in Ted 2.
Which is far and away the best scene of that movie.
Yeah. Just completely fuck.
I mean, the literal plot point of this is the end was about Cinnamon Toast Crunch. So I mean, come on. I love that CTC. Go love it.
Favorite mother-daughter relationship in a movie? Spencer's selection was Joan Allen and Brie Larson in Room.
That's a good one.
Somehow, because it shouldn't work because it's a remake, but Lohan and Lee Curtis in Freaky Friday. Yeah, they do well together.
This is annoying because this is going to be one of those ones I have a really good answer for like 3 hours from now.
Yep.
It's good. Oh man, it's so obvious. I should have said that immediately. Like Maureen O'Hara and Natalie Wood in 34th Street, I guess. For some reason, I immediately went to like 30s and 40s. For some reason. I know there is such an obvious, perfect answer to this question. I'm kind of trying to cheat by looking at the shelves, but I'm not getting any help right away. We'll continue on while we can try to work this one out as we go.
I mean, Josie now comes up with favorite soup scene in a movie. First thing that came to Josie's mind was the Hi Dad soup scene in a Goofy movie. I also think of the part of the Can You Spare a Dime episode of SpongeBob where SpongeBob gives Squidward the alphabet soup that spells "Get a job."
Yeah.
Batman.
Yeah. If I remember correctly, Squidward doesn't even see the letters and he complains that it's hot, which is even funnier.
Well, obviously, we bow down to the great soup Nazi as well. You want to talk about? Yeah.
That's the first thing that came to mind, and then the next thing that came to mind was Billy Madison.
Yep.
It's annoying that I don't think of any time soup is brought up of it basically pulls to that episode of Girls where Adam Driver produces the meme of good soup.
What's amazing is I only saw like the first season of Girls and like in full. So I was completely off whatever the story was at that point, and I first saw that out of context. The amazing thing is it's like this emotionally shattering final moment between the two of them in the context of that happening. It's like he's basically doing that to keep himself from crying, is the context. And where in the almighty fuck are the mother-daughter movies? Why don't they? I know they exist.
Ew. I don't know where.
I mean, I'm surprised you didn't say "Mummy Dearest."
Thought crossed my mind. I won't lie.
As I noticed, the ones that came up were kind of strained relationships. It's like I'm kind of. My first thought was, what are the wholesome ones? Is that a thing? Are most mother-daughter relationships in movies just toxic? Is that like a trope? No, we've been silent for a long time.
Yeah,
Is Ashley muted?
Inserts Brooklyn should have been Saoirse Ronan's win instead of Bree's, in my opinion.
I'm okay with either one winning, honestly.
The standout lead actress performance of 2015 was Olivia Wilde in Meadowland. I'll stand by that forever.
I'm just looking this up because I'm trying to think of any that are not obvious to me. Favorite scene in a film involving or a TV show involving an inhaler. I myself will never look at inhalers the same way again after The Hand That Rocks the Cradle.
That and oh yeah, that's the major one because it actually resulted in like near death. But The part that it plays in the climax of Scream 5 was interesting. I'm going to give a shout out, by the way, to Uma Thurman and her daughter in Kill Bill 2.
That's a good one.
The best I can give you, I think.
I
I was
mean,
and more in Heather Graham and Boogie Nights, but that's not necessarily correct.
I'm trying to remember if the kid has an inhaler in Babadook.
Do we have reason to be uncomfortable at the end of The Goonies when Sean Astin throws his away and says, "Who needs it?" My first thought is always, "I think you do."
And you are creating this.
I also think of Chaz Finster's golden inhaler in Rugrats in Paris.
I do like the way it's used in the original It, when they use it as like the placebo to psych themselves up to go into the sewer. Is a nice use of it, and then when he uses it as a weapon, kind of really heightened the whole what how like imagination is you can be used as a weapon in that scenario when the if you just don't believe in the thing, it's not there. Was a really cool way to do that because I don't remember that being a book thing. I'm not positive.
I think he actually is just looking at something.
I was gonna say our silences in this back half are getting really long.
It could be a technical thing. Who knows? Favorite squirrel scene in a film? Josie says Christmas Vacation.
Yeah, is there any other answer?
Not really an option.
I mean, I was gonna say Doug the dog in Up. He literally says squirrel.
And there's Steve Carell in Over the Hedge.
Mm-hmm.
Just any scene.
See, I'm looking at this and I'm confused. Oh no, yeah. There's an article from The Guardian from the Iron Giant. I'm just going to read it all. 1957, a small town diner, Dean, voiced by Harry Connick Jr., the faintly beatnik owner of the local scrapyard, sits with a 7-year-old Hogarth, played by Ian Marenthal. An inquisitive squirrel appears and runs up his trouser leg. Hogarth's mother, Annie, voiced by Jennifer Aniston, comes over. Is my son bothering you, sir? Yes, no. Call me Dean. Hogarth, you're going to find your pet, honey. I will, Mum, right after I finish talking with... Suddenly, Dean only appears to be able to speak through gritted teeth. Dean? Annie leaves. I found your pet, Dean remarks. Where? It's on my leg. The squirrel's in my pants, man. His eyes widen. Okay, it's heading north now. I'm sorry, kid. Dean leaps to his feet, then turns to address the customers. I apologize in advance for this. Dean unzips his flies. The squirrel duly exits his trousers, escapes, and causes mayhem in the diner. Dean sits back down and just says, check, please. That might be I need to watch that film again now just to prove that actually existed. Favorite animated Christmas movie? I want to say Peanuts and Charlie Brown, either the classic ones or that one that came out a few years back, which we're finally getting a sequel for, apparently.
Yeah, the short where he has the tree. It's kind of hard not to say that.
I grew up on Frosty.
Underrated Christmas movie. Get Santa. That's
Prancer.
why I'm bringing it to Movie Club.
Prancer's a good answer. I think I actually might have said this in a Q&A last year, but I saw Prancer again last year for the first time in a while, and I was really taken by how very well shot Prancer is.
Oh
Prancer's
yeah.
like it's a beautiful looking movie.
And then Spencer also asks, worst Christmas movie? I'm having to quickly check Wikipedia to remember what the hell it was called.
There's a lot more shitty Christmas movies than there are good ones, so that's a really hard thing to narrow down. You know, um, my problem with Santa Claus Conquers the Martians isn't that it's like bad. I was really, really bored by that movie. Like, I think it's not even like the so bad it's good. It's just not good. There's like not a redeeming quality about it. So I actually feel pretty comfortable saying that.
Where is it? There it is. So it's unlikely to show up in Movie Club because it's 42 minutes. Then again, because of how bad it is, somehow we could try and pan it into an hour and a half talk. But there was a TV movie called Rap City Street Kids Believe in Santa. One of the worst animated things, one of the worst written, one of the worst directed. Its ending is literally somebody to saying, "Shut that door." It's just fascinating. It's, especially when you take into account that Mark Hamill and Paige O'Hara and Nancy Cartwright and Clint Howard were like doing voices on it. Who was held at gunpoint for that? Oh, and also Walter Emmanuel Jones, the original Black Ranger.
I was like, Zach,
Yeah,
really?
yeah. It's fascinating.
You mean Backyard Dogs wasn't the worst thing he's ever done?
Apparently, he died of the writer and director died of a stroke in early 2019. So I kind of want to say that at least we won't get another one. Not to be disrespectful,
Jesus.
but not to be disrespectful, but
Wow.
it's
I
it.
don't.
Trust me,
I
it's
don't.
rough.
I
I
don't know.
don't. Is that the most hardcore thing Ashley said on?
I don't know. I mean, he just went full Ricky Bobby right there. Reese Bobby, with all due respect, you can say anything on now.
You
Probably.
know,
No, I don't. You weren't around for some of the wonderful rants during the wrestling podcast days. Ashley said a lot worse than that.
this
With a soundtrack in the background.
so kind of like Rhapsody Street Kids because that's just got random music in the background a lot of the time as well.
Oh, God.
If I can wrap it together somehow into a double feature with the Christmas special of Father Ted as like something that's good and funny, not bad and funny. Joseph is an award show for books. The categories could be like best fiction book, best lead male character in fiction, best lead female. The problem is, then you might have like multiple books just winning it all the same because people can't be asked to like specify which character's the best. Best auditory descriptions to the best sound. Like again, we're making it complicated. They just handed out the Booker Prize where they had to stop allegations that they basically did it because the thing that was described as the plot of the book literally happened 3 days beforehand in the place where the book said it was setting. So it was like, Um, would short stories be eligible for best fiction, character, and the mock tech categories, or would you have separate categories like best short story or best short story anthology? I feel like short stories should stand alone, because certainly the last few years, the ghost stories for Christmas that Mark Gatiss has been doing have been fascinating. Just stand alone, yet alone as part of the tied together stuff that it is.
You'd also have to establish the difference between where novellas lie.
Mm-hmm. Tim says Silent Night, a new movie is coming out.
Be curious to see if John Woo still has it.
Oh, that Silent Night. I forgot about that. Yeah.
I might watch it this weekend. It just really depends. Dream Scenario is a guarantee for this weekend for sure, but I don't know what else is going with it. I haven't seen AMC's bookings yet.
How many movies do we watch a day? Spencer says that they usually watch 1.5 before bed.
1.5 sounds right. You on typically.
I wouldn't say one a day, but I probably dabble in one or two a week at least.
So I live on YouTube. I'm usually watching like New Legacy Inc. or Matt Pat's Food Theories or like music reviews like Sean Faywolf and Todd in the Shadows. I don't really watch movies unless I have to because of Movie Club or it's award season and it's Friday. Basically because I don't have time to really get into anything because I'm so busy. But I'm not busy because right now I'm just trying to like feel better, so I don't really want to do anything. So if I put something on in the background, it becomes background noise, and that's all it is. And that's how I go to sleep. I just put a playlist on and go to sleep.
There are times where I have dry spots where I don't watch something for like a long time, but thankfully it's been a while since the last time that was. And those times fucking suck too because I wish I was watching things and like my watch list is getting so long and then I just don't do any of it. But thankfully that hasn't happened in a while.
Tim mentions Color Purple musical running time is about 2 hours and 35 minutes, but that includes one intermission. So it might be about the same time.
Why would it have an intermission?
I think he means the actual musical, like the actual musical.
Yeah, as I say, because Color Purple has not apparently been screwed to anybody, it doesn't have any specific running time yet.
I mean, that would make sense if it was the same time as like the show.
So it's a shade over. So it's like a shade under 3 hours with rolling stock and trailers. That sounds about right.
I mean, are we under the impression they might shoehorn in an original song just to get another Oscar nomination?
I think that marks the Fantasia Barrino like moment I talked about earlier in the show tonight.
That might add another 5 or 6 minutes.
I think that and Ferrari are my double feature for Christmas. And hoping we get and probably another viewing of the Iron Claw. Depending on if something else isn't out.
Tim also says, what are our thoughts on the new Wonka film that's coming out in a week?
I'm surprised how much trash talk it's getting. I was asking Owen this the other day. Are they not advertising at all that it's the Paddington guy?
It's very downplayed.
Because people are fucking obsessed with Paddington.
Yes.
Yet I'm starting to see almost exclusively shit talk for
And
Wonka. It's
it's
surprising.
and the screenplay is done by King and Farnaby, so it's literally the same writers as Paddington as well.
I have hope for it. Honestly, I'm looking forward to it. I will say that IHOP just dropped their Wonka menu items this week, so and their merch is now out in the theaters, so you can buy that.
Yeah, I'm open-minded to it. I mean, once again, I'm not about, like, oh, you're touching something sacred. Because it's like, like Tim Burton didn't make Wilder's movie disappear. This isn't going to make Wilder's movie disappear either. So, or
Different.
the book for that matter.
It's like I always make the comment about the various and I always say this, and it always gets back to it. The various portrayals of the Joker that have happened on the big screen and the small screen have fit the portrayals of what they were trying to emulate in one way, shape, or form. All of them make sense in their own universe. And I feel the same way for Wonka. And Chalamet's got a built-in fan base now anyways. He's going to bring people out in droves, regardless.
Kind of like we talked about in our video, I feel like the rest of the world was pretty crazy about Burton's movie in 2005.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Not so much these days.
Yeah.
Don't hate it. Like, I haven't completely turned on it or anything, but if I'm in a Willy Wonka mood, it's always going to be Wilder's movie.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, I'm just interested in Hugh Grant as bloody an Oompa Loompa.
It's fun. It's just I can't wait to see
the same magic as Paddington 2. That's the big question. Cassie says hi. Hey, Cassie.
Hi, Cassie.
As far as my favourite G-Kids movies, I'd say Wolf, Walker's Song and Sea, The Painting, Ernest and Celestine, and the Miyazaki and Makoto Shinkai films, says Josie. Bryce says, how AJ's probably not going to watch the second season of The Santa Claus.
We were just having that conversation.
Yeah, we literally talked about it. We literally talked about it after we went off air yesterday, because I kept forgetting it was a thing, and then, oh no, it's there. Like, what?
I believe what I told you guys was, if I do a review video for it, it's going to be a 10-second video of me jumping out of a window, and that's all you're going to get.
Yeah.
And my, of course, response was, I know how little off the ground your window is, so needless to say, it wouldn't be that much of a fall, but it still would be pretty cinematic.
It'd be the bit from the Simpsons with Ralph Wiggum, just like ragdoll, like boom.
Yeah, it becomes the Shockmaster.
Without delving too deep into politics, which movie character can you believe being conspiracy theorists believing that the Earth was flat or the moon landing was fake?
Well, the very first person that popped in my head was Christopher Walken in Blast from the Past.
Oh my god. Definitely. He believed everything. I mean, everything. Blast from the Past.
I'd probably say Hunter S. Thompson. Either in real life or just within Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Josie says, for some reason I see PJ's dad in Goofy Movie being one.
I could buy that, actually.
Josie also says, besides the Netflix releases this year, which movies of this year could you see or predict go into the Criterion in the very near future? mean, realistically, Oppenheimer. Because I was so amazed that Oppenheimer actually has a physical second disc with like 3 hours of extras because Nolan said, I want it. If you go anywhere digital, it's just the 3 hour film. If you actually bother to buy the physical media, you get another 3 hours on top of audio commentary and whatever. Like, you know, and if Nolan's, you know, specifically loves physical media, Criterion is all there. I'm surprised more of Nolan's stuff hasn't been Criterioned yet.
I'm kind of surprised Following isn't. I was saying usually they'll go to the really early works of people that are like really big now.
Tim says they're making Birdcage.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know familiar you guys are with tarot cards, but hypothetically, if they made a movie inspired by tarot card images, would it be considered original or adapted? Huh.
Well, can it say? Does it come from anything copyrighted? To where the movie would have to say based on in the credits.
Yeah, like Ouija, or whatever you want to call it. Let me have a quick check.
I'd say that's really the main line in the sand there.
Well, it says tarot is a pack of playing cards used from at least the mid-15th century. So realistically, I guess it could be out of copyright.
Of course, if it had copyright at any point.
I'm looking.
Because even if you
tarot
did,
has 4 suits, so in essence, it's not that dissimilar to standard playing cards. Maybe.
Yeah, because even if you adapted something that's in the public domain, you would still say based on whatever.
So I guess it'd probably be adapted. Josie mentioning Memories of Murders in Criterion. Because of Wall-E being in there last year, the only other Pixar film I could see getting added to Criterion is Ratatouille. Ooh. I mean, I'd have thought, you know, Incredibles was solid enough to be a Criterion. The original Toy Story. I'd say Up, because Up was arguably the first one that really had enough momentum to be properly considered for Best Picture. You know, that's the only reason Toy Story 3, I think, got in the year after.
Yep.
To be fair, they were in the Up got in during the first expanded year. Well, the first when they went back to expanded.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not the accomplishment that Beauty and the Beast got.
No. Criterion needs to redo The Curious Case of Benjamin Button.
I'm so fucking annoyed by that case. And like I get, like all of Fincher's movies have weird cases. I get it. I get that that's his thing, but I don't know whose call it was for it to stay the regular blue case, but I almost want to just put it with the regular Blu-rays because I can't. I fucking hate looking at that.
Right, I haven't seen it, but Jamie Chazelle's first movie, Guy and Madeline, on a park bench, would be a good Criterion pick.
Yeah.
Joe says, speaking of bandits, that's how far back we are. Which other Levinson films would you like to see in Criterion that haven't been in already?
I mean, I could see Liberty Heights doing that actually. Because as personal as it is to him, Liberty Heights seems like one of his movies that's like kind of off the radar. Diner, I could totally see at some point.
Yeah.
The Natural is his, isn't it? I can imagine that.
No.
I think.
Oh yeah, 84, yeah.
I'm sitting here trying to remember if Avalon's already there or not.
Tim has randomly put Red. I'm guessing that's the Bruce Willis thing. Favorite Billy Wilder film? Whew.
It's such. I really want to say something like more out of left field, but a completely honest answer is probably something like it ought. I feel like you're supposed to say one of his dramas, like Ace in the Hole or something. But
I kind of flip between The Apartment and Private Lives of Sherlock Holmes. Just because Private Life of Sherlock Holmes was the first one to actually, like, properly acknowledge that Sherlock had a major drug problem. When you look at the books, it was like, you know, he was more off it than Cheech and Chong were. Saying something. Bryce says Josh Horowitz is his name from the
yeah,
Confused, and it was Downsizing, not Jurassic Park 3, that Payne was defending.
I was thinking I do know he defended Downsizing. I was thinking he kind of defended both of them. I could be misremembering, I guess.
Josie says Parasite would make a good double bill with Over the Hedge. I kind of see it, but at the same time, that's very, like, UPG.
It's been a really long time since I've seen Over the Hedge, but I cannot find the connection.
Speaking of the second season, Kevin Pollak and Michael Dorn do return as Cupid and Sandman for the Easter Bunny. Because of the passing of Jay Thomas, the new Easter Bunny is Tracy Morgan.
They need a new Tooth Fairy too, because I think we lost Art LaFleur like a few years ago, didn't we?
I think so. And then finally, the list, the Oscars game. I'm trying to get through this as quick as possible. So, this is original score of the 70s. As we
shit.
jump about. So, for original song score, do we stick with Let It Be, which Bry notes the only documentary to win this category, or The Baby Maker, A Boy Named Charlie Brown, Darling Lily, or Scrooge? Which I guess would have been Finney Scrooge. One.
Yeah. I am going to say the Finney movie, number one, because that's a fucking great version of A Christmas Carol. A great musical version. Secondly, apart from that and Darling Lily, I have not seen the other three. So
Let It Be is a fascinating film because it was basically like it got released and then went as bootleg as hell because it was basically disavowed, and that's why Get Back got made a couple of years back. So somehow I managed to get it at like a charity shop thrift store for like 50 pence. So I know what I'm doing this Christmas. Seeing the original version, because apparently there's stuff that's in the original version that never got put in Peter Jackson's one, even though it's 8 hours long. So, Owen,
I don't think I've seen any of these actually.
not even Boy Named Charlie Brown.
I'm talking about the animated one, right?
Yeah, Christmas time is here and all that.
I guess by process of elimination, that's the only one I've seen. So sure.
For original score in 70, do we have Love Story? Is that Love Story or Lover Story?
Should just be Love Story.
Or Airport, Cromwell, Patton, or Sunflower?
I kind of want to say something like Airport, but Love Stories is the only one that, well, Love Stories is the only one that I can like kind of somewhat remember, but it's also the one I've watched the most recently. So
Yeah.
that was like a few years ago. So I'm not good. I'm not good with scores. I'm gonna kind of blow through this one.
I'll probably say either Love Story or Cromwell.
Love Story.
So for 71, scoring adaptation or original song score. Change the name of it, the bastard. Stick with Fiddler on the Roof or go with Bedknobs and Broomsticks, The Boyfriend, Tchaikovsky, or Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Oh.
I was just about to say Fiddler on the Roof all day long, and then you said Wonka.
Yeah.
I might still have to say Fiddler on the Roof though. Fiddler on the Roof's like kind of a masterpiece. Not that Willow isn't, but you know.
Yeah, I'd stick with Fiddler on the Roof, but you know, Bedknobs and Broomsticks and Wonka being in there as well is actually tough competition.
I'll go with Wonka, even though I probably should say Fiddler.
Oh, Bry's added here. Then again, no one likes Cheer Up Charlie, right, AJ?
Very true. Very true.
For original dramatic score in 71, do we stick with Stummer 42 or switch to Mary Queen and Scott's Nicholas and Alexandra, Shaft, or Straw Dogs?
It's really tempting to say Shaft, but I've always loved Summer 42's like win there. That seemed
Yeah.
inspired.
I'd stick with that.
Shaft.
72 for scoring or original song score. Cabaret. Oh, I have to say the others. Or do we switch to Lady Sing the Blues or Man of Lancashire?
That's gonna be Cabaret.
Mine hair.
Cabaret.
For dramatic score, the US release of Limelight or Images, Napoleon and Samantha, The Poseidon Adventure, Sleuth, or the disqualified score of The Godfather.
Can we say The Godfather?
I'm trying to remember why it got DQ'd.
Because I mean, when it comes to memorable scores, that's about as memorable as you can get.
Literally hear that score every morning when I walk into work. I walk through an empty New York street hearing that score, and I'm always looking over my shoulder to see if something's about to happen to me.
And that's the thing also is since I'm not very good with like scores in general, it's just like if I remember it, that's probably my choice.
I'm Sleuth got in there considering how a lot of score is not in that.
Accurate.
For 73, for a song score, The Sting, or switch to Tom Sawyer or Jesus Christ Superstar. Oh.
I would say The Stings is iconic, but I think the music that we remember in The Sting is actually a song that's separate from the score.
Yep.
Yeah, it's Scott
So,
Joplin's The Entertainer.
so maybe we'll say Jesus Christ Superstar
Yep.
because that's the only music in The Sting I remember.
Just
I believe you lost sound again. We're almost there. We're almost at the finish line. Nope.
That's not working.
I was really hoping to make it to 8:30. Think it's still possible.
yeah. For
I
original
don't think
dramatic
so.
score in '73, The Way We Were, or switch to Cinderella Liberty, The Day of the Dolphin, Papillon, or A Touch of Class.
Man, I have it sitting here. I really wish I had rewatched Papillon already. It's literally planned to do this way. Should I preemptively say it? Because I honestly don't remember any of these score wise. the way we were, but once again, it's the fucking song.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and it's Streisand. Do I trust it? Do I trust it was worthy?
I'd probably go with Papillon on that. For 74 original song score, The Great Gatsby, The Little Prince, and Phantom of the Paradise.
Like I said, I'll go with the one I remember, and that is certainly Phantom of the Paradise.
Yeah. God bless Paul Williams.
By the way, before somebody tries to crucify me, who did the score for The Way We Were? I just said Streisand, but I just meant musically in general. It's somebody very notable. Is it? It wasn't Hamlish, was it?
That sounds right.
Yeah.
Let me
Hamlish
redeem
wrote the
myself.
song, so I'm guessing he probably also wrote the score. For 74, dramatic score, Godfather Part 2, Chinatown, Murder on the Orient Express, Shanks, or The Towering Inferno. That's a good list, but probably Godfather Part 2. Although Chinatown is probably good because obviously a lot of the stuff from Godfather Part 2 is the bits that work from Part 1.
It was as basic as it sounds. It would be between those two. So I would go ahead and stick with The Godfather probably. There's music enthusiasts watching this that are livid.
For 75 song score, we have Barry Lyndon, Fun Lady, and Tommy.
Tommy.
I'll stick with Barry Lyndon.
I just about edge it to Tommy because Jack Nicholson singing the hell. For original score, Jaws, Birds Do It, Bees Do It, Bite the Bullet, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, or The Wind and the Lion.
I mean, if you want to talk iconic scores, we kind of got the iconic score here.
That's Jaws. That's Jaws all day long.
Jaws.
76. A Star Is Born, Bugsy Malone, or The Winner, Bound for Glory, which is not TNA.
Until January.
Yeah. Well, October 2024.
Star Is Born.
I'll probably go with Bugsy Malone.
That's fair.
What was the middle one?
Bound for Glory, Bugsy Malone, and A Star Is Born.
I was about to say, well, Bound for Glory is the music movie, but I guess Star is Born is also. I'll still say Bound for Glory, I guess, just as a default choice.
Ooh. 76 original score was won by The Omen, but the other nominees were Obsession, Outlaw Josie Wales, Taxi Driver, and Voyage of the Damned.
Taxi Driver
I
easily.
just said Taxi Driver over The Omen. Really.
Yes.
Omen's got a very good, sting to it and everything, but Herman's Taxi Driver score, beautiful. For 77 for adaptation, A Little Night Music, Pete's Dragon, or The Slipper and the Rose. I'd probably stick with Night Music on that.
Pete's Dragon.
Say The Slipper on the Rose.
Or,
I was actually going to before you narrowed it down.
oh, original score, Star Wars. I want to say the other ones, but obviously Star Wars is winning. The other nominees were Close Encounters, Julia, Muhammad, Messenger of God, and The Spy Who Loved Me. Marvin Hamlish did a good job with that Spy Who Loved Me score.
So that's actually a good lineup.
Yeah.
That Star Wars just happens to be.
Yes. A bit awkward.
It's like when Luke looks at the two suns, it was over. That whole race was over.
For 78 adaptation, The Buddy Holly Story, Pretty Baby, or The Wiz.
The Buddy Holly Story.
Yeah, I'd probably go with that as well. 78 score, Midnight Express, The Boys from Brazil, Days of Heaven, Heaven Can Wait, or Superman. Oh,
Another very strong lineup. I don't think there's not a weak one in that lineup.
no.
I'm a tad bit biased to this one.
I might go ahead and stick with Midnight Express, but Days of Heaven is really close.
They're one of the greatest tag teams of all time with one of the greatest theme songs of all time.
Which was also used as the theme for Macho Man's Poffo's promotion as well. I just had that randomly there. On bad VHS, so it's like. Then for 79, for score adaptation, All That Jazz, Breaking Away, and The Muppet Movie.
Ooh. I want to say All That Jazz, but I love the Muppet Movie so much.
I mean, I'm pretty sure Muppet Movie is Rainbow Connection, isn't it?
Yeah.
The most music I can remember in Breaking Away is like pre-existing pieces.
I like Movie and I like Caper, but I think I like Manhattan the best.
I'm probably gonna have to stick with All That Jazz.
I do love that song so much.
And then for original score, A Little Romance, The Amityville Horror, The Champ, Star Trek, or 10. That seems like a rough year.
I was just thinking, like, I think there's a reason A Little Romance took that.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's a nice choice, but is it worthy of winning? And then you hear the lineup, and it's like, oh well, okay.
So apparently it's down to Owen now. So Owen, you have to decide what decade we're doing for original song.
What do we got left?
Anything but the 90s.
Dang it. How about the 2000s?
Okay. We'll stick in recent. Although I can guess that that's best original score. That's not what I was looking. I'm pretty sure that would fall into that song from Once. Which is the only thing I
Yeah.
remember from Once, among other things.
Sang that song on the Disney Cruise Line for a talent show.
Also, of course, it'll be a shorter one because half of those years there was only 3 nominees, as opposed to 5.
Too bad I can't say 2000s and 2010s.
Well, to be fair, 2010 only had one. That was nearly all 5, apart from 2011 when it just was 2 because they really got bad. Like,
That's when I start getting angry about some
oh,
of
I
this.
see. It actually it was 3 films in '06 and '07, but 3 songs came from 1 film in both those years.
Yep.
So yeah, 2000 songs, Bry, for next time in a few weeks. And with that, oh, Bry says I'll do an unlisted playlist on the Discord server a week before the Pop the Question.
We have one more thing.
One more thing.
Yep. Cue that take a shot. Cue that game show music because it's once again time to get your papers and pens out for the final segment of Pop the Question. It is time. Buy one, rent one, lose one.
What's our theme this time?
We are the second part of Noirvember as we are finishing a wonderful month. Focusing on the films of 1990 to the present day. This is a tough one. I do not know what I would get rid of, but there are so many great ones I would buy or rent at this point.
I'm trying to work out what is going to be coming up in here, what Josie would have selected.
So, the only competition in this category is Copland, Zodiac, Brick, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, LA Confidential, A Simple Plan, Sexy Beast, Red Rock West, Blood Simple, Miller's Crossing, and The Yards.
Well, I don't want to sound like I'm bashing this movie, but I can decide right now that The Yards is getting axed.
That's fair.
It's good, but it's not on the level of any of these other ones.
I probably
I
say
would
that
say,
as well for my worst, or the lose one.
I feel like the top 2 are Zodiac and LA Confidential.
Mm-hmm.
But a part of me really wants to find a way to squeeze in Red Rock West because it's so underseen.
I'm that way with Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, actually.
Yeah, and Copland and A Simple Plan. I'll say Zodiac at the top, and then I'll say Red Rock West. But Red Rock West, how much I love it and how underseen it is the only reason I'm saying it above LA Confidential. I know. Once again, we're kind of going past the concept of the game of the buy one rent one and why you would do that, but that's just how I've chosen to do it, I guess.
I will probably buy Zodiac and rent Brick, because I don't think enough people know about Brick. They just now know about Knives Out and Star Wars and maybe I'm trying to think, what was the other one that he did?
Bloom.
Yeah, that one, just because it had a bigger name cast rather than, up and coming Gordon Levitt back in 05.
I think I'm going to concur. I'm definitely buying Zodiac. And I think because I haven't seen it nearly enough, I'm gonna rent Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Nice.
But part of me wanted to rent Blood Simple because I've never seen it. So
Oh.
maybe I'll watch it before Drive Away Dolls comes out.
That'd be fun.
I cannot wait for that movie, by the way. If you haven't heard the inflection of my voice when it comes to talking about that movie, I've been super psyched for it ever since I saw Sanctuary and saw how great Margaret Qualley was this year.
All right, are we getting out of here?
Mm-hmm.
We've done 3 live videos in a row. I'm kind of restless. I
Yep.
think we all are. So
Ready to almost fall asleep many times. Like I said, I'm basically running on like fumes at this point, so I apologize.
Yeah, that's your lot for this time. We'll be back December the 10th to discuss Get Santa. And then I'm guessing Q&A on the 11th. I would have thought.
Yeah, start into our awards coverage. They're going to start kicking off in December too. It looks like.
Yeah, because with the Globes will be in or around that time as well, maybe a few days after. So keep an eye out for all the notifications on the socials, be it Owen's at Sir Owen Disney and at Popcast Network, and maybe from me at Ash is my name UK. AJ cannot be found on social media, and just like Keith Richards, cannot be killed by conventional weapons.
But unlike Richards, he's not coming to Orlando next year.
Unless he suddenly is. The Stones are that busy.
Stones are playing Camping World Stadium next year, hence why I made the reference.
Oh, I see. Unless they cancel it, and we've just caused it. Damn it. Obviously, there's a lot of content on here. Owen's Sippin' Snacks, Voice of Liberty, my snack stashes and gaming stuff, AJ's movie reviews and verses, a whole plethora of movie clubs for you to catch up on, a whole plethora of Q&As if you're intrigued, a whole...
one more time for the road.
Isn't it? We're gonna make it 3 hours straight.
With that being said, fuck this microphone.